What's going on, guys? This is 10 WWE wrestlers who will never listen, guys. I've been trying to do the Chris Tucker theme my entire life. I'm gonna let it go, okay? I'm sorry I had to do this pain to your ears. I am so sorry. I sound like a goose that got choked, okay? I will let it go. But this says 10 WWE wrestlers who will never get another major push. And this is kind of sad because you'll see your favorite wrestler, you know, they're amazing in the ring, they're over with the crowd, and eventually they get this push and you're like, oh my God, this is their moment. This is the opportunity that they get to be on top of the world and people get to see what I've always seen this entire time. And then unfortunately, things derail it, whether it be stuff that happens outside of WWE, whether it be injury, or WWE eventually sees them and says, hey, I think you're just enhancement talent, or it's just always the wrong time. Because you know, whenever there's a champion that's white hot, every time somebody wins that belt that WWE sees as this big star, there are a bunch of other people in the locker room who are waiting for their opportunity. And unfortunately, in some cases, they never get that opportunity again. And that's just a part of the business, unfortunately. It's sad, but I guess it is what it is. But let's see who's on this list. Hit subscribe. Let's go.
A wrestler can have all the talent and charisma in the world, but if a promotion never gets behind them, then they may as well be invisible and mute. The right push at the right time is absolutely vital to a wrestler's career and can change the shape of the industry overnight. These 10 performers were all given the rocket at one point in their WWE runs, but for one reason or another, we'd be shocked if it ever happened again. But hey, I'm wrong about most things, so maybe you shouldn't count them out just yet. We'll see. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 WWE wrestlers who will never get another major push. Join us. Number 10,
Part of the team, baby.
Evans.
Yes.
Does anyone else remember when Lacey Evans used to just walk out to her music, turn around, and then walk backstage again? Please tell me somebody else remembers that, otherwise this job has finally made me crack. The sassy Southern Belle didn't do much of note in NXT before she was called up as part of that weird on their way to WWE cohort in 2018. Unless I just imagine that too. Evans got her first major program when she was revealed to be Becky Lynch's post-WrestleMania 35 challenger. The pair had several pay-per-view matches for the Raw Women's Championship before their feud finally culminated in a mixed tag team match at Extreme Rules 2019. And yes, the fact that Lacey Evans has main evented a WWE pay-per-view but William Regal never did is extremely upsetting. Since then, Evans has plummeted down the card and now finds herself as a solid mid-card act in the women's division. She isn't a terrible wrestler by any stretch, but in a division full of so many talented women, I think it's unlikely that she will ever be treated as a main eventer ever again. Number 9, Baron Corbin.
I would have to agree with that. From the same thing I've said in other videos, unless this new gimmick they have her going by, unless that absolutely works, there's no point. They can't even figure out the most simple thing for her to be a consistent mid-carder. They can't even figure that out. So for her to get a push, the fact that she's still part of WWE at this point is just kind of crazy. Not that she's terrible, just the fact that they can't figure anything out, and you know, she's still getting paid for them to be confused. So, you know, good for her family and stuff like that. But yeah, if you can't figure out what to do with her just to be a mid-card wrestler, there's no way she's getting a push.
Lacey's tag partner in that Extreme Rules main event, Baron Corbin's position of prominence in WWE lasted for far longer and did far more damage than the ex-military gal. The Lone Wolf was earmarked for success right from the get-go as he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in his very first main roster match. Over the next few years, he would pick up the Money in the Bank briefcase, the United States title, and win the King of the Ring tournament. Oh, and he also challenged for the Universal Championship in a number of pretty boring matches. Corbin faced off against Seth Rollins on 3 different pay-per-views, coming up short on every occasion. I mean that in terms of both winning the title and of actual match quality, by the way. Although he's flirted with the upper mid-card a few times since then, Corbin has never been seen as a world title contender since this disastrous feud with the Architect. As an NXT baby, there was a chance that Triple H could have returned him to the top of the card, but so far, creative seems content watching him get punked out backstage every single week. Number 8,
I will give you, like, he's a workhorse. For some reason, I feel like he's okay with it. There's some people who are okay with not getting a major push anymore. They're like, I'm getting paid a lot of money to do something that I love, as opposed to working somewhere that I hate and getting paid a lot less. So I think some people are just okay with it. I don't know if he's okay with it or not, but he seems okay. I mean, he's always like barbecuing on Instagram and stuff like that. He's not saying much, except for the picture of him holding the World Heavyweight Championship title. The photo he posted. But for me personally, I was always a fan of Baron Corbin, mostly because when he was putting that deep six on dudes. Whoa. That's not what I meant. Like, just the move itself is one of the best looking wrestling moves I've seen in recent memory. All right. Just one of my favorites. Okay. Let's move on.
Carmella. In 2017, Carmella made history by winning the first ever women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Well, sort of. Technically, James Ellsworth won the match, but let's not linger on that travesty any longer than we need to, eh?
Yeah. No
After
chin music.
Onto the briefcase for a record 287 days, Mella finally cashed in on the first episode of SmackDown after WrestleMania 34 to defeat Charlotte Flair and become SmackDown Women's Champion. The Princess of Staten Island reigned for about 4 months before dropping the belt at SummerSlam to Charlotte Flair again, obviously. Mella was shunted down the card almost as soon as that match was over. Literally, this was the night Becky Lynch's The Man character was born. Carmella may as well have not even been there. The former champion will always be a reliable hand and will always be around in some form or other, but it doesn't seem likely that she will be holding the top prize again anytime soon. Well,
I agree.
Unless Ellsworth comes back. Number 7, The Miz. Is it fair to call The Miz's WWE title reign in 2021 a push? He only had the belt for 8 days as a mean of getting it off Drew McIntyre and onto Bobby Lashley. He was basically the modern-day Stan Stasiak. If we're not going to talk about that, though, then we can definitely discuss the first time he was WWE Champion. You know, the time he main-evented WrestleMania, the time he beat John Cena. The bad times. Miz was hot property back then, having turned his Money in the Bank briefcase win into several months as world champion. After dropping the title to Cena, Miz seemed set to be an upper mid-carder, but was soon pushed out when a certain CM Punk got super popular instead. Over the next decade plus, Miz had brief stints in the main events, but always seemed more comfortable on the step below. Pretty recently, he had been assigned to helping get Logan Paul over, and to be honest, he was great at it. Sadly, we just can't see Miz having a third run with the top belt, although stranger things have happened. Number 6, Karrion Kross.
Yeah, I don't see it anymore. As much as people love The Miz, I've never been a huge Miz fan. I liked him because of his story, coming from, reality TV and then going into wrestling and fulfilling a dream, which is a beautiful, beautiful story. I love when anyone put the work in and they find a dream and they're able to, manifest that dream in real life. I love those type of stories. The Miz is entertaining, but I never saw him as this top level star. Even when he had the WWE Championship back in the day, like I never saw him like that. So right now it's hard for me to see him, but there's nothing wrong with being a steady hand. There's nothing wrong with being a workhorse. He's very entertaining in places that he needs to be at. He excels at that, and that's all. That's all you need to do for somebody sometimes. And at the end of the day, again, when they come out with the Michael Cole biopic, he needs to play Michael Cole. He looks just like him. I say that in every video, but I'm going to keep talking about it until it happens. When it happens, I'm about to glow.
Honestly, it would not be surprising if Triple H and Karrion Kross were related, because the game went to extraordinary lengths to get him over. And they both really like leather jackets too. At NXT TakeOver in Your House, the former Killer Kross decimated Tommaso Ciampa to establish himself as the brand's new resident monster. 3 months later, he would defeat Keith Lee to unseat him as NXT champ. Things were looking good for Mr. Kross, but wait, what's that? Oh no, it's Vince McMahon holding up a gimp mask. Karrion's giant legs were cut from under him when he was forced to debut on the main roster looking like a low-budget Demolition cosplayer. What's more, he lost his first match to Jeff Hardy in like 2 minutes. What is going on? After getting released in 2021, Kross returned to WWE under Triple H's creative control. Trips tried to give his former pet project something worthwhile, but middling crowd reactions and uninspired matches soon sent him right back down the pecking order. Kross has recently expressed his unhappiness with his current WWE position, so we may not be seeing him with the company for much longer. Hey, at least he got to grow his hair back.
Yeah.
Number 5, Natalya. If you look at WWE's female roster from 10 years ago, you will be shocked to find out that 10 years ago was 2013. Life is fleeting. Death is coming for us all. You will also notice that Natalya is one of the only women from that time who is still with the company. The Daughter of the Anvil is WWE's longest tenured female wrestler ever, having been with the promotion since 2007. Her talent stood out like a sore thumb in the late noughties/early 2010s and has more than earned her status as a respected vet. That being said, is anybody really crying out for another natty world title reign? The last time the Canadian won a singles title was back in 2017. She got a whiff of the main event through her real-life friendship with Ronda Rousey, but that's been about it. The general consensus is that Natalya has had her time in the sun, and there are just more interesting choices out there for the top prize. That said, it's reassuring to know that if a random woman needs a tag team partner for a random episode of Raw or SmackDown, then Natty will be there, cat ears in hand. Number 4.
I agree with that. You know, Natalya, she's a steady, like I said about The Miz, she's a steady hand. She's a great wrestler in the ring. She's pretty technical. I'm not gonna say she's amazing, but as far as technical wrestling, she's really great. And I'm actually looking forward to the match between her and Rhea Ripley at Night of Champions. I think it'd be cool if they play it out right. If Natalya is like this veteran person who's getting over on Rhea Ripley because of her, her age and her knowledge in wrestling, her technical skills against someone who is just like this overpowered brute. I think it's a great story that could be told in the ring. But again, like Natalya doesn't need to get pushed to the top. She could be in these random tag matches, as they said, and can be used as enhancement talent, as she has been doing. And she's pretty steady. She's been pretty healthy. When's the last time you heard a Natalya have an injury? Those people are needed and are important in WWE. Everybody doesn't have to be a star.
Braun Strowman. Braun hasn't been given the huge welcome many were expecting for him since his 2022 return.
Didn't they say he has some like backstage heat?
Got released back in the pandemic, and after controlling his narrative for a little while, found his way back to the big dub. Before he left, he was a huge deal, a former world champion no less, so fans were just waiting for him to be slotted right back into the main event scene. But that just hasn't happened yet. Since his return, Braun has terrorized the tag team division, feuded with Omos, challenged for the IC championship, and formed a tag team with Ricochet. Oh, and he also posted that tweet criticizing high-flying wrestlers. Maybe his—
Wait, what? Yeah. You believe we got 47 4 stars? And I'm reminded that people, no one cares about all these flippy flopper giants, monsters, flippy floppy bag your groceries at. What? This dude is crazy. This dude finds a way to get in controversy, whether it's backstage, whether it's online. That's probably part of why he can't get a push, because this guy can't behave on social media.
His big fat mouth has something to do with his lack of big fat push. Just saying.
Exactly.
WWE tried many times to present Strowman as a top guy in the past, but pretty much dropped the ball with him on every occasion. His feuds with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar made him seem like a star in waiting, but the years have gone by and he's yet to live up to his full potential. Hey, at least we'll always have the time he made train noises when he ran around the ring. Number 3,
please don't do that anymore.
Ziggler. Once upon a time, Dolph Ziggler had the wrestling world at his fingertips. The night after WrestleMania 29, the show-off cashed in Money in the Bank on Alberto Del Rio to win the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time. Just forget about when Vicky Guerrero handed him the belt on a random episode of SmackDown, alright? Unfortunately, fate was not on Zigglypuff's side, as a concussion would cut his title reign painfully short. And that was the last time he was ever world champion on the main roster. Ziggler has been the victim of stop-start pushes his entire WWE career. He's the sole survivor at Survivor Series, and then he's a bit part in a WrestleMania ladder match. He's fighting for his career against The Miz, and then he's part of a thrown-together tag team with Bobby Roode. Seriously, just give the man some consistency, please. It's clear from his positioning these days that the company sees him as nothing more than a veteran mid-carder who can help get new talent over. Whilst there was a time when he could have been a megastar, the good ship SS Ziggler has unfortunately sailed. Number 2.
His name with Dolph Ziggler, it's like, I think he just should be enhancement talent. I know there's people out there that are huge fans of Dolph Ziggler. Again, I'm not a huge Dolph Ziggler fan, but when he was champion, I can not be a huge fan of somebody and see what they can contribute to, whether it's a sport or whatever the case may be. And I saw that with Dolph Ziggler, and I get it. I think for me, the reason why I never became a huge Dolph Ziggler fan is because of just how much, and I know this happens on purpose, how much he resembles Billy Gunn and HBK. And it just feels like, for me, it's like, it just feels so unoriginal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that there's some wrestlers that even now that take gimmicks from older wrestlers, but it just was so on the nose, man. So on the nose, in my personal opinion, that it just wasn't for me. It just wasn't my cup of tea. It just, it wasn't for me, okay? It wasn't for me. But at the end of the day, I don't think Dolph Ziggler needs another huge push. There's so many new, so much new talent that's coming in. Wrestling has changed so much since he's been around. Would I love to see him win a World Heavyweight Championship? No. Would it be cool to see him get another Intercontinental Championship run if it's kind of short? It'll be cool. But if he never gets a title again, I won't be mad at it. But people who are Dolph Ziggler fans, let me know what you guys think. You guys feel like that he should get another run or no? And people who are not Dolph Ziggler fans, y'all can talk to me too.
Kofi Kingston. Kofi Mania was a magical time.
It's time for Xavier Woods, that's why.
Beautifully performing in ladder matches, tag team matches, and getting the odd IC or US title run, Kofi Kingston finally won the big one. He earned himself a spot at WrestleMania 35, and with his good friends Big E and Xavier Woods at his back, defeated Daniel Bryan to become WWE Champion for the first time in his illustrious career. And then what happened when he lost the title to Brock Lesnar? Well, he was put right back into the tag division, and his title reign was barely mentioned ever again. Dreams do come true. 1 year on from Kofi Mania, Kingston was fighting in a ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. He then got battered by Omos, and then he and Woods got beaten in about 3 minutes by the Brawling Brutes. Sure, he and Woods have won the NXT tag straps recently, but the company just doesn't seem interested at all in doing anything proper with Kofi if it doesn't involve the rest of the New Day. And this is bonkers, as they've literally got proof that people are interested in him as a single star. I mean, thank God he's got the power of positivity, otherwise this would all be very bleak. Number 1, Jinder Mahal. Even though it happened way back in 2017, it still doesn't feel quite real that Jinder Mahal was WWE Champion for most of a calendar year. The former 3MB member was chosen to spearhead the company's expansion into the Indian markets, even though they portrayed him as an incompetent heel who needed all the help he could get from his cronies to win matches. For 170 long, underwhelming days, Mahal's reign was filled with boring matches, bland promos, and a mysterious force that could drain joy from a person if they just thought about it. Mercifully, his time with the gold was ended by AJ Styles. Thank you, Alan. Jinder then won the United States Championship at WrestleMania 34 before the company lost all interest in their former project. He received a teeny bit of a push in early 2023, challenging Braun Breaker for the NXT title, but he hasn't been considered a proper main event talent in a very long time. Honestly, it's not like I want to hinder Jinder, but I'm also pretty happy seeing literally anyone else in the hot seat.
Okay, yeah. So I agree with all this list. I really agree with every single one. And that's very rare. I agree with every single one, which is fine. Everybody thinks differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, when I think about Kofi Mania, even though I love that happened, it was an amazing story, it was a fantastic moment, I can't help but think, for me, because I am a personal fan of Mustafa Ali, I can't help but think if he never got injured, what would have happened? What would have happened? Because as we all know, Kofi stepped in for Mustafa Ali because he got injured. So if Mustafa Ali had that moment, I wonder how it would have went. And it seems like now that he's another person that they don't want to even give an opportunity to anymore. They're always making him get into these jobber situations and things like that. So he's another person I think of. But if there's anyone else they have not put on this list, let me know in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Hopefully you guys are having an amazing day. Salute. Peace. Have a great day.